we have the purpose of analyzing two decks from Latin America today. One is from Bolivia and one is from Paraguay. So we're going to get going on with the Paraguayan one. Let me
All right,
start
let's do
sharing
it.
up with the screen over here. There we go. Are you able to see this? What I see?
Yes.
Cool. So we have Bucksapp from Asunción, Paraguay. They're offering data analytics for banks, B2B, fintech, SaaS. Overall, if we start with their highlights, they have an experienced team in the financial and fintech industries, all in one integration, data cleanup, data analytics, and personal finance. A pretty solid LTV to CAC ratio. But if we go from the highlights to the problem in the financial industry, transactional data is currently in a chaotic state, often found duplicated, incomplete, and dirty.
Mm,
What do you get out of the first slide? First
mm,
impressions, first thoughts.
yeah. Yeah, it's the problem honestly to me, it's not the most clear in this first slide. Uh Duplicated, incomplete, and dirty. I mean, I think that you can come up with a better word selection than that. Um they're attacking, I'm guessing they're trying to attack the financial industry in Latin America. I mean they're starting out with Paraguay, right? And I'm guessing the
Correct.
next slide is going to try directly into the solution. I mean, the problem statement is too generic, I think. Because, data and analytics platforms in the financial industry, there's like a gazillion of them. And I think for a company from Paraguay to really stand out, I mean, especially like a really early stage one, what I would like to see from the beginning is what niche problem are you identifying and solving? If you're
Hmm.
telling me that you're going to solve like the billion world's, populations problem across the entire bank of the world, that's great, but it's not enough to kind of grab the attention of an investor looking at a Paraguayan startup. I mean, for that one, even if you had the potential to become the world leader, I want to understand for now in this first particular phase, what niche problem are you looking at that nobody else is solving? And this problem to me is completely generic.
Okay, good. Maybe we're able to get a little bit guidance into what is going to be more in depth later on. So we can
Yeah.
bounce now to the next slide in the solution. Basically,
Mhm.
here they are offering that improving banks' data enrichment to increase ROI across consumer and business departments.
All right.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know what that really means, so we'll see.
And here they have a little explanation to that they organize, clean, and analyze that transactional data, and they save some cost. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's still not clear to me. I mean, I'm guessing there's gonna be some, mess in data, in the financial industry, but it's still not giving me, just because they didn't specify the problem statement. Either giving us a use case, or like for example, in consumer banking, when you have the consumer data and it gets messed up, like mixed up with their card transactional data or whatever, loans data
Yeah.
and payments data are not. They didn't. It wasn't very specified to me. Maybe when they were pitching it verbally it might come out, but from the deck, it's not necessarily clear to me what the specific problem, and then therefore the solution for now on this slide is it's a little bit unclear to me.
Okay. From here, we go further on with their solution
Mm,
slide. Okay, there we have the pyramid, personal finance, analytics, categorization.
okay.
Categorization, they're trying to define that transactional data organization and clean up categories and subcategories, measure identification.
Okay. Yeah. Can
Are
we
you
move
getting a
on?
hold of it? Not
Yeah. Well,
yet.
I'm following you, but I need to get to see the analytics.
Analytics,
Okay. You get viewpoint trends and patterns. I see. Next.
personal finance, these are the
So they do have a
categories,
B2C platform. Okay. There you go. Use case. Let me see
and
the
then
use
use
case.
case.
Here. This is what I was wondering about.
So
Personal
personal
banking.
banking. Home banking use grew in 3x in time and sessions in 2 months. Business banking, 5 new commercial opportunities identified for marketing promotions. Then they have it on the digital wallet side, 50% digital adoption in mobile app increase of 30% in mobile app use. 80% of users were successfully taught to set and met monthly budget.
Mm. So from here, I'm trying to guess, right? Because it's not clear to me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to guess that what their solution offers to the banks, it's a B2B2C, no, it's a B2B solution. What they offer is kind of like a digital banking infrastructure or whatever. They provide, I'm guessing they're providing some kind of personal and business banking analytics and sort of front facing platform. And then they can also provide like a B2C app type of situation to the banks. That's what I'm thinking that they're offering, sort of a front end banking, digital banking solution to the banks. That's what I'm understanding from the slide.
Okay. So you're getting a little hint of it, but you still have to do a lot of guesswork. So that is not being provided, at least up until this point, that you get
Yes.
clarification of what exactly that you're in. Cool.
Yeah.
If we go here towards the market, okay, there is a big market opportunity like everybody else.
Mm,
They're presenting their TAM, World, SAM, Latin America, and some South America
hmm
that they would be able to obtain. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Any valuable information with this one? We've had other reviewers in the past basically demonstrating that the TAM, SAM, and SOM is really not providing any value. What are your thoughts overall on about this type of
I
slide
think
presenting TAM, SAM, SOM?
I think it's a nice to have slide. I think it's a good, I mean, it really depends on how you position it, right? So for example, right, if this is I'm just gonna, because I'm gonna guess, because it's not clear to me yet. If this is a banking front end digital banking platform company, let's say that we are generally targeting tier 2 to 3 financial institutions, or tier 4 like microfinance institutions, or regional banks, instead of going with the Santanders and Citibanks of the world.
Yeah.
Then your market opportunity, your SOM, would be not just financial institutions South America, but your tier 2 to 3 financial institutions. That is
Mhm.
more interesting to the investors, because, like, okay, what's the difference with this company and all these like world leaders of digital banking companies? Oh, because you know exactly how these tier 2 to 3 financial institutions work in Latin America, and how big is this market? Oh, here's the research. In that case, when you built out your go-to-market and audience, at least for the beginning, and very specifically tied to a very specific problem statement, then the market opportunity site gets very interesting. Because then I know, okay, that
Mm.
makes sense.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
niche problem. How big is that? But in this one particularly, it's very, very generic. So it doesn't really add that much value.
yeah. Okay, cool. But here we then go towards competition and competitive analysis. Okay, what they are offering is saved time and investment. So savings in time and cost, where Bucksapp goes further towards their competitors. Business model,
Okay, wait,
okay,
go back, real
B2B
back.
SaaS.
Okay, real back. Can you go back to the competitor? Okay, so it's a good try to have put the X and Y axis. I think it's always a very good visual to show competitive analysis. But first of all, you only use that to isolate yourself from all of the other competitors. What I see here is that Bucksapp is just one of these competitors. Like, this is really not
Yeah,
adding
right
to
here.
their case, right? You want to be able to name the axes in a way that Bucksapp is the only one, or maybe it's one of the two, maybe, that's in this sphere that's so unique. But here, I don't think they're making the best use of this axis visual.
That is a very, very valuable point. So here, like, we have quite a many others, 6 others next to Bucksapp over here on this side of the
Okay.
axis. Yeah. Good. From there towards business model, B2B SaaS, integration, one-time setup fee per monthly transaction volume.
I see. So here my question is, I mean, okay, all this visually, the colors and everything is really great. Like, it's not a boring PowerPoint, but like, all this is great, but here, same thing. Like, here, what's not clear to me is, so I understand the setup fee. What I don't understand is the fee per monthly transaction volume, because what is the transaction really?
Ah,
Because if you take a look at their solutions, right, there's the personal banking, business banking for the business, and then there's B2C like app. So what is actually the transaction? Like every time something fires, like some kind of like what is the transaction? I don't really understand like what your fees is based off of. So that's a little bit
I see.
confusing.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. That is a very valuable point, and I bet the founders and the team has the answer, but it is so far it has not been depicted in a clear manner
Yeah.
that
And
you
also
would.
if it's a fee per transaction volume, is that technically SaaS? Unless it's tiered, right? Let's say, from one transaction to 1,000, you pay 99. From 1,000 to 5,000, you pay 200. Like if you're paying like 3% of every transaction, that's not a SaaS. So it's a little bit confusing what they're trying to say here.
I see. I see. Okay, then towards traction, they trying to depict in a very, very clear manner objectives met in the last 15 months. Okay. A little bit
Okay.
of their past fundraising, about their team, first MVP, signed 4 banks, 2 live, a little bit about their revenue, went through acceleration programs, about their pilots,
Okay.
and more about their fundraising.
Okay. Well, I think they've done a lot of work in the last 15 months. So congrats to them. I think there's a better way to make this more visual, right? So first of all, if they were able to, grow an MRR of 300K, I'm guessing it's US dollars. Then you want to put it in like a very slight, very simple graph format so people can see the growth of your company. Because if you're a young company and you only have like so much revenue generating per month, what you really want to highlight is speed of growth. So I think you want to put like either a graph, and then I would, if it's possible, if you've already signed, like put the logos of the banks that you're working with, and put the logos of Google, SeedStars, Platzi, put them in logos instead of putting in like a bullet point list. It's just way more visually impactful when I see a graph that's growing and the logos of people that I know, right? And then I don't know if you want to mention pre-seed, like around, you could say that, like $1 million pre-seed has been raised, 500K pre-seed has been raised, or something like that, right? So I think here, the important thing is like, yes, it's great that you did all this stuff. You want to be able to market it the most, which means use more visuals. And the entire rest of the presentation is very visual. So I think this slide could even probably benefit even more if they were to make it more visual.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And here they're trying to go more towards the transactions process in a visual manner.
I see.
Um,
Yeah, so why can't
More
they
than
make
10
this like
million.
put another graph here with the revenue, right? Like this is
Yeah,
exactly the
yeah,
type of
yeah.
graph I think is interesting for the revenue also. But this is a good
A-
graph.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And here towards more about the unit economics. Okay. So the MRR is $5,000. So there was maybe a little slight confusion above here towards the objectives met on this part.
Oh,
Um,
okay, 5K MRR with 300,000. Okay,
Clients.
and end users. So
Yeah.
not the banks, but there's end users. Yeah, it's a little
Yeah.
confusing also.
But here
I
this is very
see.
clearly okay. Basically, they come transparently about their margins, about their CAC, burn rate, and break even target for this year. Um, and then towards the end, 3-year roadmap and a little bit about the team. Okay, I think that covers up for the first slides. Any overall last thoughts? A little summary about that. What you just
Yeah,
saw.
I think it seems like the team is based off of like professionals from the banking industry. So I think they're maybe like the team is something that should come up front because I think it seems like they've been working in relevant financial industry that's really
Yeah.
good, right? And it's a young company, so I think that credential might help them. I really want to know. I mean, I'm sure when they present it in person or verbally, it's different. From the deck, it's not extremely clear to me what is the specific problem they're solving, and the type of use cases or the type of go to market target segment they're targeting. So if they were to work a little bit more on those two, and then highlight the team's
Um,
experience, and also visually highlight their achievements so far, I think the deck would get a lot better.
And just over a question, what you mentioned over there, in this case, specifically for Bucksapp, that you mentioned that you could put the experienced team on top. at the very beginning? Do you normally prefer to see the team slide at the very start, or does it really matter
No,
for you?
it doesn't necessarily matter, and normally I almost prefer to see the team last. But if it's a
Yeah.
case of a company where it's very young, and let's be honest, like Paraguay and Bolivia are not the most attractive markets. In those
Yeah.
cases, where then having a very strong team can actually help you build the case. For an investor, it's like, oh, it's a Paraguayan company, and then they take a look at the team, like, oh, these guys actually work in these banks. Well, let me take a look what they're trying to do. So,
Yeah.
I think in this particular case, it might actually help them to start with that because they do have a very experienced team.
Cool. With that, we're now gonna get towards the second company of the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be from Santa Cruz, Bolivia.
Mm,
TuGerente,
mm,
financial and inventory management.
mm,
And over here, if we start, well, first of all, their highlights, so they have over 700 paying SMEs. So
mm,
clearly they've done something right, but let's now start getting into their slides and do we really get an understanding what they do?
mm.
They start depicting the problem 80% of SMEs do not survive the first 3 years due to bad financial management.
Yeah,
85% of SMEs do not have access to loans for working capital. Okay. Then they're making a case about an SME. Immediately
mm,
on their third slide, Susanna needs $3,000 to grow her business. The
mm.
problem is she has low access to bank loans. I mean, her business, her SME is treated as high risk, and then she lacks the formal info needed.
Okay. So I think in this case, the problem statement is a lot clearer. So we know exactly what segment we're targeting the SMEs, especially sort of the not startups type of sort of mom and pop shops or traditional industries. And then we know exactly there's kind of like a live example of what type of entrepreneur here. So I mean, what I don't understand is the third problem of lacking the formal information. I don't know what that necessarily means. I'm guessing it's like it's very complicated paperwork that they need to take to the banks. But I mean, maybe it's like an English thing. Maybe if this was in Spanish, it might be better. So maybe I'll recommend them to take a look at that third sentence again. But yeah, definitely, like I understand exactly what the end user is, what is the problem they're tackling. That's good.
Nice. So from there, you understand their problem. And here, I think that they're trying to also present a little bit about the last point that lacks the formal
Mm-hmm.
info. I don't know, but at least it looks pretty messy. SMEs
Mm-hmm.
lack control of their own info,
Mm,
and it is a mess.
mm.
Well, if it's presented in this way in notebooks, in handwriting, yes, definitely.
Yep.
One
Yep.
notebook for
Clear to me.
purchases, one for sales, one for inventory.
Yeah, I think this slide is really good. It's just visually shows me exactly what disorganized means from these
Yeah,
photos. It's
I
good.
personally love this light in a way. It's like this already gives me a headache, and I'm starting to lose more of my hair if I see somebody doing their handling their business in this
Let's not
manner.
do that.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, then towards the current state of the Latam market, SMEs data and
Mm,
SMEs lending are disconnected. Information
mm.
asymmetry, SMEs are underserved and underfinanced, an opportunity to connect SMEs to lending.
Okay. It's a little bit repetitive, but I still like the slide, so let's go.
Towards the solution, okay, their vision, changing how SMEs manage their finances and obtain smart loans. So, SME credit, financial management, and inventory management.
Okay. Okay, let's move on.
How it works, the virtuous circle, control and order by registering, better decision making by analyzing, inclusive loans for SME by matching loans based on real data.
I see. I see. Okay, now I understood what they're doing. Okay, so they were trying to do like digital bookkeeping for SMEs, and then by doing so, it not only helps the SMEs become more productive and efficient and digitize, it also create more data with which they can create kind of alternative credit scores for them to access better credit. I think that's what they're trying to do in one kind of like a one stop shop, I guess, solution for that.
Hmm.
Yep.
You were able to pick it up pretty quickly over here. So, like, so far, it's been within the first couple minutes, you've been able to get a pretty good glimpse what they are doing.
Yeah, it seems like it. Yeah.
Towards the impact, Susanna Store and 700 paying SMEs grow 300% in revenue. Okay, now they're trying to demonstrate that they know what they're doing and they have a very good amount of traction. Over 200 million transactions per month, over 600,000 reports analyzed per month.
Mm. Okay.
Are you getting excited or something like right now? Okay, you understand what they're doing. Is this rising your excitement levels, or are you still okay? What are the thoughts at this stage of the deck?
I think up until now, I mean, it's just like it's okay. For
It's
me,
okay.
well, I think it's extremely clear what they're trying to say. And then even with the Susanna example, it's like it's showing me in real life how this solution looks like. So I understood the problem. I understood what they're trying to do. Understood in the real life example use case of Susanna Store what they're actually doing. Now what I'm interested in, okay, SME solutions and bookkeeping is a very competitive space. It's not that there isn't a lot of space going around. The pie is big, but now I'm
Yeah, yeah.
wondering, like, what is the competitive advantage here? Like, whether it be the market or the actual technology or distribution methodology. So that's something what I'm thinking. But in terms of the deck, I mean, it's good.
So far. But okay, so to summarize, the main concern so far is that how do they differentiate in a market that clearly has that there is a
Yeah,
big
but it's
problem.
not
Okay,
exactly. It's not necessarily the problem of deck. I think this is a natural flow of an investor thinking, which I think means that the deck is very clear. So I
cool.
don't have questions over like, what does this even mean? It's more like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so why is this different?
Good. Then towards the market slide, large untapped market. Here we are, um, showing what they're trying to target and
Regional
how big
market of
that is.
SMEs, target market, SMEs management and lending market. That sounds like a very small market. Like 400,000 SME sounds like very small to me.
But they're
Yeah, I don't know
putting a
where they're
number
getting this
here
number.
for that. Yeah,
But I mean, 400,000 is very small. There has to be a lot more of these. Yeah, I don't know where they're getting these numbers from. I mean, it's $18 billion markets, uh, but it's only 400K.
so
Yeah,
here they're
I
trying
mean,
to demonstrate that,
yeah,
okay, 28 million total SMEs in Latin market, formal plus informal. So then the ones who are basically operating in the black market are a vast majority
So, I mean,
of
I'm a little
the
lost to what
companies.
the 18 billion pertains to.
Number, yeah.
Of what? Like, of what? Like a revenue? Like,
Of
is
what?
it the formal SMEs or? Because if it's a formal SME, so 400K seems way too small. I mean, is it true? I mean, I don't know. Is it true? I don't know. And maybe you should put, maybe they should put like a source of where this data comes from. IDB Invest. Really? I worked there,
Nice.
Because
I know
IDB Invest
you can get into
400K.
the bottom of this number,
Yeah,
but it's a
because
fascinating point that you're making.
yeah. I mean, and think about it. Like, we know that like there's like, one señora selling tortilla is an SME technically. Like, I mean, not like one person, but if it's like a little mom and pop, it's an SME, right? It could be formal, it could be informal, but like, really there's only 400,000 like units of SMEs across all of Latin America. I mean, I'm very curious, right? And that represents already $18 billion market. I mean, these are like maybe they're medium-sized companies, but the Susanna store example was not medium. So very curious. I mean, would love to hear a little bit more
Yeah,
explanation on this.
but that's a good sign that at least you got curious of that, so you would love to tend or question the founders' capability to answer these questions and see what they come up with.
Yeah.
Um, then towards a competitive dynamic. Over here, they have a similar type of access presented like last company, Bucksapp, and a little bit more as well. The where do they focus and where they do not.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Cash flow inventory management. Yeah. So like this, they're using very well the XY axis because they're basically using it to isolate how competitive they are compared to the other ones. Um, yeah, I mean, I would love to hear like actually the founders explain it because yeah, I mean, I see what features differentiate them, but really, what is their key competitiveness in conquering this 18 billion SME market? Because I mean, what is their moat basically? What is their defensibility? Like,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I were to hire, a development agency tomorrow, I might be able to create an inventory management app for the SMEs, right? It's like kind of easy to develop. So, what is their real defensibility and the uniqueness that will ensure that they are in fact the market leader for the SME management platform space.
So going back to the original thought that you had already a
Yeah,
few slides up, is that how do they really, let's say,
yeah,
master the distribution, or they have
exactly,
something unique on their solution that
exactly,
nobody else can replicate. Hmm.
exactly.
And then towards the end, they
Yeah,
also present the team, as most
it's
of the
good.
companies, to demonstrate
That's good.
their expertise.
Yeah,
Cool.
looks good.
Overall, final thoughts from TuGerente?
Yeah, yeah. For this one, I missed the traction. I didn't see the traction of their revenues, or what their funding status was, right? And so this one, I have, two thoughts. One is that the actual storytelling, in the clarity of delivery of the information was very good. I didn't have any questions
Yeah.
about what they do. Well, there were a couple of information missing, which is like the pricing. I think it's SaaS, but they didn't tell me about like how they do the pricing. And then there was no, the important thing is there's no revenue,
Yeah.
how long they've been operating. I think this company has been operating for some time. So what is sort of the revenue levels? How much funding have they raised? What are they looking for? What are their roadmap? All that like juice is missing. And then the third part is sort of the competitiveness, right? So I think if I were
Yeah.
to hit it, because it's a company that's tackling a solution, a problem that a lot of people are tackling, and the defensibility is a little bit low, I would even, I think people are pretty familiar with the SME's problem of not being able to access. So maybe if from the beginning, try to kind of differentiate the company from all the other SME
Yeah.
solutions from the beginning. It's not very hard
Mm.
to understand the market. You first get investors' attention by saying they were not just another SME solution. And here's why. And then you move into the how it works, right? And then you put the tractions like, not only we're a special SME solution, but look what the actual numbers we were able to achieve in the past 3 years. Then it makes a
You're
really
right.
strong deck, right? Because think about it, like we talked about this. I get like 50 decks in like a day in the inbox. I click it. It's like, oh, another SME solution. I'm not going to be intrigued to, it's a great deck and it's very clear, but what's the difference, man? So that's something that's going to pop up in my head. So
Immediately.
yeah,
Absolutely. And then towards that question now, overall, towards a little bit more generic, you're getting so many decks into your inbox and that you scroll through on a daily or on a weekly or a monthly basis. Are you going through towards the very end of all of those, or do you just say no?
Yeah. Generally, I mean, it's depends on the speed of my scrolling, but I do scroll through all of them. What I do struggle with, there's some cases like SME financing, SME management that it's sometimes it's like it's very crowded space. There's no leader, I understand, but there's crowded. So then whenever I read through these decks, I really try to just focus on what's unique about this company. Like just
Yeah.
scroll through like how many SMEs exist in Latin America. Not that they're not important, but it's like I've seen so many of these slides. Like it's not new to me. But I want to understand like so exactly why are you different? Is it attraction? Maybe your numbers speak for itself, right? Or if it's not, then is it your technology? Or what is it that makes you actually different from all these solutions? That's like what I try to look at when I scroll through decks in this particular segment.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a final question, generally speaking, are founders able to communicate only with slides how they differentiate themselves, or do you always need to basically hear the story from the founder? Are you seeing, let's say, what percentage of the slides that you're scrolling through is clear that what their modes can be or might be?
Mhm. So I think it depends a little bit on like per fund and per person. Because we're early stage, very early stage. I try to if there's at least like one or two things that are interesting about the deck, either it be team or the market or the solution or whatever, I try to speak with the founder. I did not
Yeah.
used to do this when I was doing Series A, or because
Okay.
then it's like there's a lot of time wasted in companies like for a ticket, the very little tickets I'm going to do, because we're seed and deploying a lot more quantity, and we're also more lenient when it comes to imperfections of the
Yeah.
founder. If I like the founder, if I like the space, then I'm willing to work with you in the imperfections. That's why I generally
Right.
try to speak with the founder, even if there's only at least one thing that I find interesting about the deck, right?
How about the deck?
Maybe for Series A and B investors, it might not be not be the case.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Stella, for your
Mhm.
insights and your thoughts and your first reaction to these decks. I think that it's going to be super helpful for a lot of founders, but especially for these founders who put those decks together that we went through today. So thanks a lot, Stella, for participating.
Yeah, thank you, Eric, for the invitation. I do want to say like a huge shout out to the founders who basically were brave enough to put their decks out for like a review in front of everyone. And all this like comments that I give out, it's not like a direct criticism. So like, please, I really want to like celebrate their bravery for doing so. So yeah, congratulations to you guys for putting their work out like this. So hopefully this was helpful.
I am 100% sure that it was. Thanks a lot, Stella.
Great, thank you.